A very common mistake for new weavers, and not always the new weavers either, is when you're warping and you're warping 2 threads per slot, because you're going to leave one in the slot and thread one through the hole just for a normal plain weave. The mistake is that you thread, instead of 2 through the slot, you thread 4, and you come to realize that when you begin threading and you've been threading along and you've been putting one in the slot and one in the hole, and then all of a sudden you get to a slot that has 4 threads instead of 2. Well, this sends some weavers into a bit of a panic, but it's something that is very simple and a very common mistake and very easy to fix. So let's have a look at how. Here are my 4 threads in the one slot. So the first thing I'm going to do is just grab them and bunch them together and pull them taut so that I can see how they look behind the reed or the heddle and see whether they're twisted up or anything. So these 4 are actually separated into 2 separate groups that look very clean and nice. So all I'm going to do is keep that group separation, and then I can choose whichever group. It doesn't matter at all which group's going to stay and which group is going to go. So I'm going to say, okay, this group is going to stay and this group is going to go. And the threads are not twisted at all, so I don't have to worry about them catching on each other. I can put the group of 2 down. They're the ones that are going to stay, and the ones that I don't want to stay, I simply pull them out of the reed and throw them over the back of the loom. And as you're weaving, they will unravel. Okay, as you advance the warp, they'll unravel, the thread will drop onto the floor, and at that point you can either let it continue to drop. Some people like to weight it over the back of the loom. I don't usually find that that's necessary, but if you want to keep it very separate to the other threads and make sure everything stays good, you can do that. Or you can simply trim it as you go. So every few times you advance it, it starts to get a bit long, you can trim it. The other advantage of doing that, trimming it and keeping it short, is that your cat won't come along and have a little play with it and maybe make a disaster of your weaving. So that's the way we fix that one. So what about if you are already tied on and you haven't realized the mistake because you've picked up one thread to thread through, but you haven't realized that there are 3 left in the slot? Well, let's have a look next at what to do for that particular problem. Okay, now we've got the second scenario where you've already tied on your warp and you've threaded it and you haven't realized that you had too many threads in the one slot. And shock horror, you've even started weaving and now you can see this terrible ridge running up your work and it sticks out like a sore thumb. What can we do in this instance? Well, we don't really want to stop and unweave. I mean, that is an option, but there is another way that we can avoid having to do that. Firstly, you'll want to have your heddle in neutral position, and it's very plain to see where the mistake has been made. But let's just isolate those threads that are causing the problem. Now this time, last time we had 4 threads in that slot and that was our problem. This time we've got 3 because one of them has been already threaded into a hole. So we don't have to worry about that one. We definitely want to keep that one. But 2 of these we want to get rid of. So here I've isolated the threads and I'm going to have a look and see which ones are twisted and which ones are sitting nicely. So that one's kind of twisted with the others. So I just want to isolate, there we go, one thread that doesn't seem to be at all twisted with the others. And I'm going to pop that one back down. That's the one that I'm going to keep. These 2 I need to get rid of and I'm just going to snip them. Okay, so that one can go over the back just like we did before, but now we have these 2 threads here. Okay, so there's a couple of things we can do. We can go back down to here and figure out which of the threads is causing the problem and just pull them out. Okay, so I need to see which one it is here. And there it is, because if you give it a little tug, it'll come. That's how you know which is the right thread. And there we have eliminated those extra threads as well. They'll just hang down as part of the knot for now. You can see that there is a small gap running up there. Once you take this piece off the loom and wet finish it, and of course I'm going to keep going with my plain weave now, and it's going to be looking normal again without the gap, right? Just to give us an idea. So it's going to close up a little bit as we weave, and also once you take the piece off the loom and wet finish it, that gap that we saw there, you can see it's already closed in a little because the 2 extra threads aren't there holding it apart. But that will just close up and become part of the fabric, and you will not even notice that anything was ever wrong in that spot. So I hope that helps you, my happy friend weavers, and I will see you next time. Until then, happy weaving!